Hello everyone, this is Caleb Simpson, and you are watching my walkthrough for The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild for Nintendo Wii U and Switch. In this video, we're going to be working our way towards the Tabantha Tower, unlocking Rito Village so we have a warp point there, and finally murdering many trees, which I'm sure is exactly what you were expecting. Before we dive into that though, I ended the last video here at the Shayloya Shrine here at Tabantha Bridge Stable, and one of the things you can do real quick before we move on is you can speak with Torin here, who is hanging out near the campfire during the day. Now this guy is muttering to himself about a great fairy that is nearby here in Tabantha, and I will be showing the location of that later on in this video. But anyways, each great fairy that you unlock costs progressively more rupees, and the first one costs 100 rupees, the second one that you unlock will cost 500 rupees. And at this point we don't really have that many rupees. If you've been following along with me, you should have quite a bit. But anyways, point being, this guy will then give you 500 rupees for free for the purpose of unlocking more great fairies, which is awesome. Now whether or not you unlock the great fairy or not is up to you. I would highly recommend it because it's awesome and it allows you to upgrade your armor, but either way, it's just a bunch of free rupees, and it's a big boost early on in the game especially, so I'd highly recommend you do this right now. Just speak with Torin before we leave, and that's all you have to do. Super awesome, 500 rupees. So next we're just continuing on towards the west and just working our way along the road, ignoring most of the enemies along the way. Once you get across the Great Tabantha Bridge, you'll find a bunch of Guardian Skywatchers. Now, these guys are pretty rough. They are pretty cool to kill later on to get giant ancient cores, just so you know. So this is a great place to kill them because they're pretty spread apart, so they're not going to attack you like multiple of them at a time. And their cores land in a nice place. Unfortunately, Skywatchers are often found in like really awkward places, like above pits and stuff like that. So their cores will land in places where you can't loot them. So this is actually a pretty nice place to farm them because you can collect their cores very easily because there's a nice flat part underneath them, by the way. But anyways, we're going to just ignore them for right now because they're kind of a pain. We don't really have a lot of damage in the way of, like, ranged attacks right now. Unless you got a bunch of bomb arrows with me, that could potentially work, I suppose. But anyways, continuing onwards, what you want to do is just work your way towards Tabantha Tower. It's pretty easy to spot. It's just, like, up on top of a giant hill by itself. So all you want to do is hop off your horse and then start climbing. So Nero Hill is like a small mountain that kind of has an obvious path that spirals around. You can follow it if you want to, but just know there are a lot of pretty rough enemies here. A lot of them are going to be black quality or even white if you're playing in Master Mode, which is pretty rough. So they do quite a bit of damage. Like all these enemies will basically do around 5 hearts of damage minimum, if not closer to like 8 or 9. So you need quite a bit of armor just to sustain that, just to even survive their first hit if you don't have a lot of health at this point. So you can kill them if you want to, just know that it's kind of risky. So instead I would just recommend you climb instead. Now, along with all those enemies, there's also a bunch of malice, which is that, like, black and red sludge stuff you've been seeing around Hyrule. I haven't really seen it too much so far in this playthrough, but we're starting to get into zones where we're going to see that a lot more. But yeah, the malice is kind of a pain and it's in the way, but you can take damage and walk across it if you want to, just be really careful. If you keep eating stuff, you can just kind of run across it, it's not too bad, but our goal is to get all the way up to the top, and we'll find that the tower is kind of covered in the stuff as well. Now just so you know, whenever you see big, impassable areas of malice like this, oftentimes that means that there is somewhere amidst all of this, there is a glowing eyeball, which is an enemy type that will cause a portion of the malice to disappear if you can defeat it. So usually the goal is whenever you see big chunks like this, you want to search for the eyeball, and if you can successfully defeat it, then it will make a chunk of it go away. So that's what we're trying to do here. The particular glowing eyeball for this section is going to be to the far north. So once you blow that up, this will cause some of the malice over there to the north to disappear so that we can access this pillar. Now, the pillar also is apparently being supported by the malice, so now that that malice is gone, the pillar will fall over and land against the tower itself. Now, as far as I know, this is the only way to get up here. You might be able to, like do some bomb jumps or something. Well, I don't think even that. I think you'd land on the ground. You wouldn't be able to climb. But otherwise, just using Rivali's Gale, of course. But yeah, basically, this is the only way to complete it normally. All right, Tabantha Tower. So Tabantha is over here. Here's where the tower is. And it's, Tabantha covers everything from, like, right over here. It goes meow, through the canyon. And then it does this weird little thing where it just follows the road. It goes along this little mountainside. It goes up through Heber Plunge, goes around this mountain too. Does Rossborough Pass, then does Drawnox Pass, and then it comes back around, and then it again covers up all of this other stuff. So that's all Tabantha, and it starts with this tower. Now, most notably, I would make sure you unlock the tower, and then also get to Rito Village as soon as possible. This will unlock a whole bunch of quests and stuff, more shops, but this is a great teleport point to get a whole bunch of things that are nearby. So very important. So I would make sure you get those 2 warp points as soon as possible. Now, as far as notable things here, I'll just kind of go in order, work my way from bottom to top. So, Great Fairy Fountain. This is actually marked on your map pretty clearly, so that has titled here for this one. So it's pretty obvious, but go ahead and put a star here would be smart, or at least once you unlock, once you purchase each Great Fairy, their location doesn't really matter too much unless you want to get the Enduring Carrots there. But you can upgrade your gear at any of the Great Fairies as long as it's just the total number of fairies you've unlocked is what matters as far as what the tier of armor you can get up to is anyways. But there you go. Great fairy location. Now, there are several of these rare talus here in Tabantha. I was talking about them in the last video, but there are talus that drop diamonds. They drop at least 1, if not 2 or 3 diamonds, and they also drop sapphires and rubies. So you can get some really high quality, expensive gems. These guys that you can either sell for rubies or use to upgrade your gear. So rare talus here, right here, and also right on the road, and then also up here. Now this one is actually easier to get from the Hebra Tower though, and it's technically part of Hebra, so it's not really part of Tabantha. But yeah, so yeah, 3 rare talus that are pretty close to here, and they're great. This one you can easily get to from this tower. Now, as far as other notable things around here real quick, there's also this thing. I'm placing my travel medallion here. I think this is one of the most useful ones for it, because you can go to the shrine here in Rito Village and then work your way down, then ride your horse all the way through this and go all over here, which is kind of annoying. It's time consuming. So if you're not using your travel medallion for anything else, I like to put it here, because this is the best place in the game by far to get wood. This stable has just tons of wood around here, and also a bunch of really big trees. By the way, there's small trees and big trees. When you destroy big trees, they give you more wood. So, or rather, you know, little trees will give you 1 to 2 wood or whatever, and big trees will give you, either they break in half and they turn into 2 little logs, or they're a big log and they break apart and they turn into somewhere between 2 to like 4 wood, if that makes sense. So anyways, there's a bunch of big trees through here, so they give you more total wood than little trees do. And also there's clumps of trees here, or like stacks of wood, and these ones always break apart and give you a similar amount, whatever it is, so like a big stack of wood, and it gives you like somewhere between 3 and 5 wood every single time, regardless of like where you hit them from, kind of thing. Also, there is a woodcutter's axe here, by the way. Unnecessary. You can just use bombs. I have tested it very extensively. Between the axe and the bombs, they give you the same amount. The total amount of wood you get is the same. It's a myth that you get more with the woodcutter's axe. Now, the reasoning for doing the woodcutter's axe is actually a stamina reason and stuff. It's because you can potentially do it faster for speedrunning tactics. So that's why you would want to use a woodcutter's axe, and there is one here. But anyways, just use bombs. There's no reason to get rid of some of your precious weapons. But fun fact about this too, collect all the wood, then save, and then load your game afterwards. I know it's weird. You save and then you load it immediately afterwards, after you've already collected the wood, and all the wood will reappear. So you can blow it up again and get all your wood again. So if you do that like 3 or 4 times, whatever, you end up with over 100 wood easily. This is really important for getting a whole bunch of wood to gather for the whatever it's called, Tarrytown quests. So over here, if you're trying to unlock Tarrytown, you need tons and tons of wood for that. So this is the best place in the game to get it. Really, really fast, really easy, super good. So yeah, if you have the travel medallion, it makes it nice. But yes, if you just save and load here a bunch, so you collect a bunch of wood, save, then load your game, then collect wood again, save again, then load it again, and you just keep doing that, and it'll reset it over and over again and keep making the trees reappear. Okay, next things. Weapons. Lots and lots of weapons around here. So, first of all, I was mentioning this in the last video. This is the best place in the game to get a Phrenic bow, which is the kind of... Actually, it's the lowest tier, I think, even, of the bows. Of the sniper bows. It's the lowest tier of that. But it's easily available. You can get it right away. Super useful for doing things like hunting specific ingredients, and also for getting Korok seeds and stuff. You can break targets far away with it. So you warp to this shrine here, and then head up there, and it's just like inside this little tower, go inside, and it's just leaning against the wall. Super easy to get, but it reappears every blood moon, and it's just laying there, which is great. Other things worth noting, there is a skull here. These bokoblins always have, I think there's 2 or 3 frost spears here, which is pretty easy. All you have to do is just like warp to this shrine, come over here, and then like climb this hill, and just run around. You can take your horse up here, whatever, just run up here. And I think there's a couple enemies outside that shoot at you, and inside there's those 2 guys. I think there's some keys as well, whatever. It's kind of snowy here. But just run up to them and either throw down a bomb or something. Ideally, just hit them with a shock weapon. Just do a spin attack with it, or hit them with a thunder spear, and then boom, they drop it, you pick them up and run away, and you're done. So if you really want frost spears, this is probably one of the fastest places in the entire game to get them. Really cool. Similarly, there is a great Thunderblade here on Kuho Mountain. Easiest way to get it's just sitting there. The easiest way to do that is go to Tabantha Tower and just sail over here, and then head inside, and it's just sticking here like Sword in the Stone kind of status. It's just hanging out, and you just pick it up, and it reappears every blood moon. Great. Another kind of similar, there's a bunch of moblins here, and there's some weapons leaning up against things, but I think I want to say there's just one, whatever it's called, the Royal Claymore here, the 2-hander of the Royal variety. So that's right there, 36 damage, whatever. Pretty nice, or 36? Yeah, 36 damage, I want to say off the top of my head. No, 52. 52 damage. So it's a pretty good one right here. I don't know if it's necessarily worth a pin, but you could pin it if you want to. But that is, I'm just low on pins is why I say that. I only have 2 left. But anyways, so the moblins are kind of scary. If you're really worried about it, you can make it night and they'll be asleep. But they don't pick up this weapon until you startle them or whatever. But if you land like right on top of the weapon and pick it up, then they'll be like, huh? And they'll look towards you and you're fine. So there you go. Great way to do that. Let's see, what else? Then there is the Hinox here. This one is another one of those ones that always has a royal bow and a royal broadsword. So what you do is, again, you just warp to here, and then sail over here. This one, unfortunately, is laying down, or it's too high. But we don't have a high enough spot where we can land on top of its chest. If you want to do that, you pretty much have to, like, climb this nearby hill and then land on top of it. Otherwise, you can get on top of its hand to get it to land you on its chest, so you can pick them up. Otherwise, just go ahead and shoot it in the eye and then run forward and pick it off its neck. But yeah, always has a royal broadsword and a royal bow every blood moon. So this is another one of those Hinox that does that for the entirety of the game. Same thing with the one that's down here. So you can always get royal weapons very easily. In general, I don't feel like royal broadswords are that great. I would rather have a two-hander so I can hit harder, especially in combination with frost weapons. Just super good, but the damage potential is just so much higher. But if you like using shields especially, then that's pretty cool. As a quick note, I don't think this is a good farming place at all, but I'm just commenting about the fact that there is some hardy salmon or something like that, I want to say, or maybe it's just hardy bass inside one of these pools. So you can come here every blood moon and grab one of those as well. But yeah, that's pretty much everything in Tabantha. It's a pretty nice spot. I don't think it has very many pins, but the stuff it does have are all really useful and super good. Oh, by the way, before we move on, one other thing worth noting here is that this, in my opinion, is the best place to kill Octoroks to get fish. So something you may not know is when you kill Octoroks, they often give you an Octobloon, and they often give you a fish. The fish is random. It's just some random fish in the game, so it can be totally garbage. It can be really awesome. So it's one of the easiest ways to get the really rare fish that are hard to find. Now, the hardest one to find, in my opinion, is the Voltfin trout. It's the hardest one to get. There's also Chillfin, Sizzlefin, and Stealthfin trouts that are kind of hard to find. So Chillfin you can find up here in Hebra. The Sizzlefin is over here in Death Mountain area, whatever. Just all these steamy waters over here, as opposed to the blue water. You know, it's all these teal waters is Sizzlefin trouts. And then likewise, the Stealthfin is over here in Great Forest of Hyrule, and also all the way around it in the moat. There's Stealthfin. But anyways, Voltfin, as far as I know, the only place you can find those rare ones is right here in Hebra Plunge. And it's just a chance for it to be there, but that's the only guaranteed place that I know of in the game. But otherwise, I think it's a lot faster for all of those to just, well, not necessarily faster for all of them per se, but it's just you're not going super far out of your way. Just kill all the Octoroks here, boom, 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 and then you get most of those fish just in the first go, and you're great. And if not, you just warp back here the next blood moon. Again, it's just another reason why having the travel medallion here is cool. Warp back here the next blood moon, kill them all again, bam, 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 and it just feels, I don't know if it's a higher chance or not. It sure feels like these particular Octoroks have a higher chance to give you the rare fish compared to other ones in the game. I don't know if it's my imagination. I know there's different kinds of Octoroks. They come in different colors and stuff. But these ones just seem really, really good. So, yeah. So that's what I'd recommend, is kill the Octoroks here. Hopefully they'll give you rare fish. If not, warp back the next blood moon and try again. But that way you can get Voltfin trout in particular, which is the hardest one in order to complete your compendium. I changed my mind. I have another good pin for you. So over here, technically this is part of Ridgeland, I guess, but I'm including it in this video for reasons. So there is the Tabantha Great Bridge, which is next to the Tabantha Bridge Stable. So warp to Shayloya or over to Tanakosa or whatever. And what you want to do is it rains here fairly often, I guess technically because it's part of Ridgeland, whatever. It rains here a lot. So you're going to want a campfire, but you need it someplace covered. You can either place it inside the Tabantha Bridge Stable. I think what's better is going underneath the bridge. So you can go on the right side, go onto the left side, whatever you want to do, and then place a campfire there and light it with a fire weapon, and then go ahead and sleep there until morning. Now what that'll do is it makes Dinral appear, like, up over here. So he's around the corner, and he slowly works his way over, and he'll finally peek around the corner and come this way, and he goes right underneath the bridge. So, if you're a little bit lower, it makes it easier to shoot him at him anyways. Now, if you want to, you can, like, for example, climb up on top of the bridge and then jump off, and then use your bow in midair, so you're using bullet time. So this is a nice spot right here. So you jump off this way, and then shoot at him, so you can aim very carefully with a sniper bow, shoot him in the horn, boom, and then his part goes flying. It goes somewhere like all along the edges over here. It's kind of annoying, actually. It appears in really obnoxious locations. But what I recommend you do, it appears like, oh, it appeared like way over here. Then go ahead and make a pin there temporarily, and then go back to your campfire and immediately make it morning again. Don't go grab the part, just go use the campfire again. Just keep doing it. If you do it in quick succession like that, bam, 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 you just keep using the fire over and over again, Dinral will keep reappearing here. So you just keep doing it over and over again, farm for parts for a while, and then after a while, then go ahead and you keep placing pins, whatever. And then what happens is, now you can run around and gather them all. And they'll disappear as you touch them anyways, but whatever. So you go ahead and grab all the parts, and then you're good to go. Okay, I know we've just like pinned all kinds of stuff. There's all these interesting things you can now do. However, our next objective is still, we're just running around Hyrule, collecting all the war points right away. So our next objective is to head to Hebra, but along the way, we can go to Rito Stable. Rito Stable is the best place in the entire game to get wood. You can get tons and tons of wood, which, fun fact, is one of the best ways to melt ice, which is what we're going to be doing in Hebra. So it's really convenient because it's on the way there, and we're going to be getting something we're going to need once we arrive in Hebra. Now that'll make sense here a little bit. You don't have to use wood, it just is really convenient, as I will show. It makes it quite a bit nicer. Like, you will save more time by farming a little bit of wood here real quick, as opposed to just doing it all legit, like slowly, up in Hebra without the wood, as you will see. It's really nice. It's something I didn't do on previous playthroughs, but now that I did it for this one, I'm addicted to it, and I love it, and I think it's awesome. So, that being said, you want to hop down from the tower, and then get on your horse and go follow this northeast road, which eventually leads to Rito Stable. Now, Rito Stable, unfortunately, does not have a shrine really close to it, so it is a little bit awkward to get to otherwise. So one thing you can do to make this a little bit easier is you can place your travel medallion here. This accomplishes two purposes. It allows you to warp back here easier just so you don't have to travel as far, but it also makes resetting the area a little bit easier, as I will explain here in just a moment. But as a quick comment, if you did place your travel medallion over at the Mijo Roki shrine so that you can get there as soon as there's a blood moon, then I recommend you just leave it there for now. Whatever you want to do. It doesn't really matter too much. We have other workarounds that we can use for this next little bit. But anyways, the idea is what you want to do is you want to attack all of the clusters of trees and the stacked logs that are nearby. So blow them all up with bombs or use the nearby woodcutter's axe. And then after you've done that, you can reset the area by either saving and then loading your save, or you can just warp here either to the travel medallion or to Rito Village. I wouldn't go to Rito Village for that, though. It's just so far away. So save and load, or use the travel medallion, and then this will reset the area, which makes all of those logs and the nearby trees reappear. Other quick note is that these trees are all big ones, and so they give you more wood than the smaller trees we've seen in other areas of the game. So basically what I try to do in general is I just try to come back here whenever I get down to, like, say 10 bundles of wood, and I beef it up till it's like 50 or 100 or something like that. But just so you know, eventually later on in the game, if you're planning on doing the Hylian Homeowner and From the Ground Up quest to unlock Terrytown and buy a house, then eventually you're going to need like just 140 bundles of wood just for that. So just for those quests, you're going to need a whole bunch of wood. So if you are planning on doing that, you might want to just get a whole bunch of it now. So probably the smartest thing, honestly, would be to do get say 200 wood right now, which is more than I ended up doing. It doesn't take that long. Like, once you're here and you get the system going, it doesn't take that long. You start gathering it really quickly. Just so you know, too, by the way, both these stacks of wood and the trees themselves give varying amounts of wood. There is some variance. It rolls like somewhere, like a regular tree, for example, will give 1 or 2 pieces of wood. Meanwhile, like big trees will give you more like 2 to 3 or 4 or something like that. And then these stacks of wood will give you somewhere between like 3 and 6 or something like that. But it just has some random chance for it. And just so you know, I did test with bombs versus with the woodcutter's axe, and it's no different. The statistics are the exact same. I did count them, and I did lots of tests with it, so I'm absolutely sure of that. I see a lot of people saying online that the woodcutter's axe is faster, but I disagree. Here's the thing. I mean, you use the woodcutter's axe, and you can do 2 regular attacks, or you can do the jumpy thing. I see a lot of people do the jumpy thing. I think they're mainly doing this for cool points. I don't think it's actually any faster, but you jump and then press the attack button while in midair, and Link does this little flip, and I think they supposedly think it's faster because it's a two-hander, but my experience has been just holding still and just doing 2 quick attacks, not a running one. Hold still first and then press the button twice real quick. It's pretty fast for this, but just in general, I think bombs are way faster. You just walk up to them, you throw a bomb, and you blow it up, and then it's usually off cooldown by the time I get to the next pile, if you're doing just these couple right here anyways. If you're just doing these and then warping, I think it's faster. If you're going to be attacking trees, then maybe a mix between the woodcutter's axe and your bombs would be faster overall. but just the piles by themselves, definitely bombs are the fastest by far. That is, of course, assuming you have the upgraded bombs, though, because then they have the reduced cooldown. So whatever you want to do. So here I'm showing, like, just standing in front of them, just 2 quick taps, boom, it kills the pile. But yeah, a single bomb will do that as well. So as long as it's off cooldown, you just throw it, boom, and then you just get the wood. So it's not a big deal. But yeah, I feel like the main reason for using a woodcutter's axe is to use in combination with the bombs. So use bombs whenever they're not on cooldown. When they are on cooldown, you use the woodcutter's axe, and you can collect wood pretty fast, both from trees and from piles. I sort of feel like at the same time, though, that, I just don't want to get rid of my weapon slots. Like, I threw away a Thunder Spear in this recording, but I don't understand why. There's like this whole feeling online that woodcutter's axe is significantly faster, and I disagree. I think that it probably is faster if you don't have the remote bomb plus. If you just have regular remote bomb and you haven't upgraded it at the Ancient Tech Lab, then that makes sense to me. But otherwise, I don't think that it is any faster. I suppose the other thing about that, too, is that bombs, because you have the explosion radius, too, you have to, like, walk away from them to make sure you don't blow yourself up. So I guess there's that, but I'm usually just, like, throwing bombs as I'm walking to my destination anyways, so it's not a big deal. So other than that first part that I fast-forwarded through, the rest of it I showed it in real time, so you can kind of see, like, bombs versus woodcutter's axe, which method you like better. But anyways, I ended up with 70 wood-ish for that amount of time that I spent there, which is pretty darn good. That's a decent amount. Now, next we're heading to Rito Village. I totally overshot with my horse, so one of the problems I'm running into with this playthrough is that this horse is just too fast, because I got the fastest horse in the game a couple videos back. It has 5 speed, and it's just kind of hard to maneuver. Like here, I'm just galloping regularly. I'm not even using any spurs, and it's like kind of hard to manage, or it's like really easy to bump into stuff. It's just like it's becoming a problem. So when you're in tight areas like this, it might be better to have like a 4-speed horse would be more appropriate, or even a 3-speed. So I actually don't necessarily think that a 5-speed is always superior. So it can cause problems. Like, I know what you guys are thinking. You're like, oh, boo-hoo, like you got the fastest horse in the game. Like, I feel so bad for you. First world problems much? So anyways, you might decide that, I think that's part of why I was saying, like, I think that maybe the 4-4-5 horse, 4 strength, 4 speed, and 5 stamina might be a little bit nicer horse just overall, because it's a more multi-purpose horse where you're not going to bonk into stuff. So like areas like this, what I'm doing is I'm pressing forward to speed up and then pressing back again to slow down once I get to some of these bridges, so that way I'm not running into things. So when you arrive in Rito Village the first time, you'll then witness the cinematic showing Va Meadow, which is the bird-like structure that is flying around in the sky above Rito Village. And it just kind of patrols back and forth, or rather goes in a circle, slow circle going around Rito Village. And it's just kind of a bad thing, because it used to be a divine beast that was protecting the village, but ever since bad things happened 100 years ago, it is now all corrupt, and it actually shoots the Rito in town, which is really unfortunate. So they say that they're sad because they can't fly up in the sky, because it will shoot them down, so they have to fly low in order to avoid getting shot, in order to just go to and from their own house, which is kind of sad. One of the things I think is kind of weird about that is one of the comments that some of the guards in town will say is that that Va Meadow will used to protect the village from threats, and I think it's kind of weird because it only attacks them when they get too high in the sky, so it makes me wonder, like, what did Va Meadow even protect against? Like, the only flying things in this game are, like, the Flying Guardians, basically, and then, like, just the Rito themselves. So, like, the Rito Village was protected against other Rito by Va Meadow? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Why do you even need this, I guess? But anyways, it is a Rito-themed dungeon and everything, though, too, and it was originally used by the Rito, and they all fly, too, so I don't know. Maybe it makes sense, I guess. It still just seems weird to me, though, because, like, Sky Guardians were good back 100 years ago, right? Like, it was only after all the Ganon stuff happened that they turned evil, right? So, like, why is it... I mean, I don't know. Like, so what other enemies are there, aerial enemies, that we have to deal with? Just, like, keys, I guess? So, like, yeah, there's some ice keys, there's Wizzrobes, but not here. So in this area, it's just keys. So, like, okay. So bats could potentially come to the village, I suppose? And so the solution to that is, hey guys, I got this idea. Let's build a giant flying fortress and give it huge lasers. That'll deter them for sure. Like, what? Supposedly the whole reason that scarecrows work is because crows will actually pass on information to their offspring. So, like, crows associate scarecrows with guns. So they know that if there's a scarecrow, and then if they hunt in that field, that they will get shot, is the reason why crows avoid scarecrows. It keeps them away because they know that it's dangerous to go to that particular field. So it's a real passive, that's why it works, but it's actually because of the communication between the crows is why that happens. Anyways, I wonder if the Va Meadow has a similar effect on the keys nearby, and that could be a logical reason for it, I suppose. And that would still, I guess, accomplish the same thing, except that it makes it awkward for the Rito being unable to fly high near their own home anyways. I suppose that makes it a pretty effective scarecrow in the end, though. Anyways, now we are here in Rito Village. We have access to a whole bunch of quests that you could potentially do to if you like. Now, in general, I'm just here to get the warp point. I'm trying to do that's my highest priority. That's what I'm here for. However, if you would like to do some of the optional side quests that are here, two of them that you can do real quick is the Apple of My Eye and the Spark of Romance. Those two side quests, you give an apple and a piece of flint to two different characters, and it will then reward you with 100 rupees each. So 200 rupees, really fast, really easy, right here in town, super convenient. So if you wanted to do some of the side quest stuff, you could do those if you would like to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to continue on towards the shrine. So inside the Quote Shrine, I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce that, you want to turn off to the right, and there's an optional chest we can grab real quick, and you can do so by shooting the crystal switch of the platform that's across the water, which will flip it and cause the windmill to be pointing this direction and spin the pinwheel, which will then open the door, giving us access to an ancient core. Alternatively, you can also bring a Korok leaf and just hit it with that instead, and that would also work. Now, next you need to figure out the puzzle in the middle room. I recommend you stand on this upper platform and look towards it, and you can figure it out. Here I have posted in the corner a picture of the solution to it, which I have figured out. So the red arrows are denoting the directions that you want the windmills to face when you're done, and then the numbers are showing how many times you have to hit that particular crystal switch in order to flip the windmill so that it's facing the appropriate direction. Basically, all of them you hit once, except for the far left ones you need to be hit 3 times. That's the only thing you need to know. So pretty easy shrine, honestly. Basically, the way to figure out the solution is just to realize that the only ones that can even hit the middle ones is just the ones that are in the middle, basically. And then the one that's in the far top right corner is kind of positioned oddly, but it conveniently will hit the remaining one in the middle that none of the other ones can. So yeah, once you know which ones have to be in a certain position, you can just use process of elimination to figure out what the other ones have to be. It is a little bit confusing from down here. I feel like being up on that upper platform makes it a lot easier to wrap your mind around it, but that's the solution for this shrine. So yeah, that's going to be the end of this particular video. The next one I have a whole bunch of stuff to cover, so that's why I'm breaking it up right here. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this and found it helpful, be sure to throw a like on it and subscribe for more content just like this. As always, stay awesome, have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next video.